kick off with is the inspiration for this kind of photography. Where did that come from?
It's God source inspired. I don't create this. It flows through me. I'm a receptacle and a creator.
So when you were first looking to do some kind of photography, some kind of art, how did that come about?
Well, the art gallery began out of economic necessity for the furniture business.
Right.
We needed to create interest, and I thought it would be a great way because there's such an art movement in the area. And then the art gallery spawned the photography because as people with that headset started coming around and noticing the building, they wanted to do photo shoots, and so I started thinking about it, and I negotiated myself into equipment. I traded for equipment, and I'm using 12-year-old traded free equipment.
How do you get from, I want to do photography, to this? I mean, at what point do you go, glow, photo, this kind of stuff?
Well, I studied radio, television, and film in Penn State, as a young man.
Keep going, I'm just checking this.
And worked in the cable television production industry for a couple of years and just didn't like the business end of it.
Right.
I went down to a photo shoot event in Baltimore and saw a guy with, one little paintbrush and a model and a camera, and then I looked at what he turned out and I saw, wow, that's pretty cool, and I liked it. So I started, and I built, and it just grew. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger and grew and kind of took on its own life.
What would you call this?
I call it glow art. It's a registered trademark, glow art.
So the process is essentially you use specialty paints to paint the model. Could you kind of walk me through that?
It's specialty makeup, specialty lighting, and then specialty editing to turn, what is a person walking down the street into one of those.
I'm always curious about the process and the origin of things. The first time you tried to talk someone into doing this for you, if you were like, hey, I got this idea. I'd like you to take your clothes off. I'd like to be able to paint you and spray paint you, and then take photos of you. What's a conversation like that like?
The first one I did, the girl wore a tube top and boy shorts, and we shot on the roof, and I lugged lights up onto the roof, and she did it with a hula hoop, and we were trying to hoop, paint, and then hoop, and it was difficult because it's high speed. You need a fast lens, and we couldn't do it in the dark. It didn't turn out well until we came inside and then tried it again, and all the blotching from the hula hoop made all these really interesting patterns, and it just really looked cool. I mean, the very first shoot looked really cool.
So it kind of was a mistake where you had to glow in the dark from the hula hoop, and then that got on the model, and that's how it kind of came about?
No, I painted circles on the model.
Oh, I got you.
And then we went on the roof, and she hooped.
Oh, I got you.
And as the paint got onto the hoop, it would reapply itself just sporadically, randomly. And so there was dots all over the place, and it just made a really interesting, sporadic, random pattern.
How many models have you done this with?
About 50.
50 models.
I've shot with women, men, gay men, male impersonators, male couples, female couples, pretty much anyone who wants to shoot.
Now, is it, in the beginning, I'm sure it was more of you trying to sell someone on your idea and less about, but has it come around to the point where now people are seeking you out?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a show in New York at the end of April 29th. I'm the featured artist there at a mixer of 600-700 people. And yeah, they find me now. I pop up a photograph in a group, and I'll get 3 or 4 likes, and I'll look at who's liking it, and if they look like they could do this, I contact them, and they're almost always willing.
I'm trying to, so who primarily buys your stuff? I mean, do you sell it locally? I mean, does it
I'm
sell
selling it in art shows. I'm moving some smaller pieces over to the Emporium bookstore in New York.
Okay.
Tomorrow. I'm at HMAC, stage on her in Harrisburg. I've had shows at the Mulberry Art Gallery. So I do shows. I actually take the printed product, which I print. Start from the beginning. I paint the model, photograph it, edit it, print it, frame it, bring it to the place, climb up the ladder, and hang it. So it's everything from concept to cash. And then I also sell it online at Fine Art America. And there's 9,000 images up there. You can order it anything from 5 to 7 to 24 by 36.
Is it your biggest seller is the online?
Yeah, it sells more online than it does off,
Off the wall?
off the wall, right.
Is it tough to sell off the wall? I mean, what's your personal perception of trying to sell art off the wall, even around here, versus taking it elsewhere like New York or anywhere else?
My personal perception, I think it's just starting. I've owned a camera for 2 years now. I mean, a professional camera for 2 years now, and I've had like 3 or 4 shows. And I think it's just now starting. I tend to leave York to do it. I mean, my show is in Lancaster, and another one in Harrisburg, and then one in New York. And, something I see that the artists in York are doing is they're all trying to sell to each other. And I think they really need to sell to people in a different market, get people in other markets to come here and buy. So I think it's just starting.
Talk about some of the reactions you get from people who see your art.
Everyone seems to like it. Everyone seems to like it. I mean, the thing I like about it is, well, what it does for the models is usually models are show-offs. They want to show, okay, look, this is my posing ability. These are the skills I have. And this is what I look like. And they're show-offs, and they're usually beautiful. This is a way they can show off their skills, their posing skills, and all the work they've done in dancing, yoga, working out. And their posing skills, and it's still artistic. It's just not like, here I am all nude.
Right.
Look how good my body looks. It's still artistic, so they can show off how good their body looks. But it's still got, it's got a little more artistic flavor to it.
What are some of your favorite props that you like to use when you're kind of working with your models?
We've got a Triton. I've got a Frisbee. I've got flowers, hula hoops, staffs, shears. I made almost all my props, or I bought them at the dollar store and painted them.
What's your favorite part about what you do here?
I like all of it.
The process, essentially, from like soup to nuts?
Yeah, every bit of it is. It's all work. I mean, it's all work. It's that, all of this stuff didn't just happen. It was all work. Okay. But it's fun. It's fun work.
Let me check my time real quick. Okay. So here's a question. I do stories on a lot of sensitive subjects, and you have to get people to trust you. Whether I'm doing stories about abortion or if I'm doing stories about domestic violence, the bottom line is people have to trust you. How do you gain trust with essentially strangers to do something like this?
They probably speak to someone else who's worked with me before, or they see the finished product. They'll look on Fine Art America and see 50 folders with 120 images in it, and they think, wow, 49 people before me have survived this. I think the odds are in my favor.
Sure. I mean, and I'm not speaking from anyone that I know, but in terms of just like, you hear stories in the industry, the photographers some guys are slime balls and they'll take advantage of models, young models and that kind of stuff. I mean, how do you assure models, like, look, I'm here to do pro work here, I'm here to kind of do this is what I do. How do you kind of keep...
I tell them at the front end that, that there is contact. You've got to be cleaned. And if at any point you're uncomfortable, you just tell me right now that you're uncomfortable, and then we'll resolve it. We'll find a way to deal with it. But yeah, there is contact. I mean, you have to clean the skin before you paint it.
Right. And have you ever had a model who was just like, I'm not so sure about that?
No.
No, they're usually like, look, I see the results, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Cool.
Usually. Yeah,
so
almost always.
What's your goal to go from here? Where do you want to go from here?
I'd like to retire from the furniture business and do this all the time.
How realistic is that?
I don't know yet. It's a path. I'm just following the path that keeps on leading.
So, if you were going to say a percentage of your income, furniture, selling art, doing art, what percentage would you say is everything?
Furniture's 99.
Really? So
art's 1.
You're still that far off. And so the goal is...
But I'm 2 years into it. Yeah. Every single shoot I do, I find something new and do something better. So.
Let's take this weekend's shoot, for instance. Did you learn something new in this weekend?
Oh, I'm sure I did. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I haven't. I'll see it. I can't identify what I learned.
Right.
When it comes up and I know what it is.
Gotcha.
From rote knowledge, I'll say, oh, yeah, I picked it up at that shoot. I can't identify it.
So how does it work with the photos once you take them? Do they get some? Do you get some? I mean, or do they get access to all? How does that work?
I'll shoot between 200 and 300. I usually edit a third of them, which is a huge amount compared to most photographers.
Right.
But at least a third of them come out good.
Right.
There's so many of them come out good, I can't see the reason not to edit them. And I edit so many for my website. I get them the models too.
So they get, now, do they pay you to do this, or is this kind of?
I have been working TF, which is trade for, which
Okay.
is the model poses free, and then you give them images. But and there's different steps along that line. Some models I've paid, some models have paid me, and it's a matter of their experience or my experience. So everyone's different for the most part.
Now, you could sell these in any way you want. That's part of
Right.
the agreement. It's like I can make postcards out of them. I can, whatever,
Right.
wallpaper. It doesn't make a difference.
Right.
That's cool. Well, I think that's about it. I really appreciate your time on this and the time. This is going to be just a small story to go with this gallery. This, like I said, this will be set apart from the story that Mark's working on about the neighborhood. This was